myself.
No, you're getting the input of everything right into your ears, dude.
I am overstimulated right now. That's wild. Well, we're gonna try it.
We're live, so.
Oh, we're
We're
live?
currently trying it.
We are trying it. Dude, this is nuts.
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
I think you probably have to get used to it. Like, did you take a little getting used to it first?
Yeah, a little bit. God, I gotta fix these fucking mics. It drives me nuts every time I touch the table.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you can hear everything echoes. It's wild.
Yeah, well, that's because these mics are shit, or something about this setup is shit.
The mics or the headphones?
The mics. The headphones are fine. It's the input of audio.
Oh, okay. I'm already starting to get used to it.
But I don't know how to, like, fix it.
Do you want me to? Yeah, I'm gonna coaster it up.
Well, it also just doesn't make as brutal of a sound in the
Oh, that's
audio,
true.
you know?
That's true.
No, I gotta look into fixing this. I have looked into it. I just haven't found anything that's been useful in terms of fixing it. I guess just a bunch of. It's like one of those things where you start looking into something and you're like, this shit's just over my head. Like,
well, you've had them for a while, right?
yeah, but
Dude, this is Basics right on there. Amazon Basics.
dude, that's Amazon's brand for like generic shit.
I've never seen that before.
Oh yeah, that's an Amazon Basics tripod. You can get like an Amazon Basics laptop case.
They're just calling you Basic straight to your face.
Just basic bitches. Dude, that's what it is. You're a basic Amazon bitch.
Don't get ahead of yourself. You're basic.
That's exactly where they got that from.
That's funny.
Definitely.
Huh.
Kudos, Jeff Bezos.
I like this though. Huh. It's nice.
Yeah, it is nice. I don't know. I've thought about getting rid of the arms and getting like a stand. You know.
Oh yeah, I've seen podcasts that do that.
Joey Diaz does that.
Wait, does he?
Mm-hmm. He has a stand, like just a little stand on the table in front of you.
He used to do headphones then, I think.
No. He uses headphones. I'm talking about the microphone.
Oh, the mic. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Just, I think the arms it can be kind of obnoxious.
I don't know. I'm cozy.
Yeah, it's alright. I don't know.
What does Rogan do? He does. I think they're arms too, right?
Yeah, he's got both arms.
Like probably nice fucking arms. Yo,
yeah,
you know.
He's got nice mics too. They're each like $400 or $500.
Well, that's
for
a little.
microphone. These were like 30, 35.
Well, he's showing off.
He's showing up.
Do you know Dax Shepard? Yeah.
I have
without
heard
a
that
paddle.
name.
Dude, without a paddle, Tom.
Which guy is he?
He's the idiot kind of like the funny guy.
Scooby or Shaggy?
No. That's Jerry. And then not the short guy, Ben. He how do I describe him? He's tall. What is his role in the movie? He like doesn't really have much going on in his life. He's the funny guy of the movie.
Okay.
Like there's only three guys. It's Scooby, and then there's the short guy.
I can picture both of their faces. I can't picture this guy's face.
He looks shit. Who does he look like? I don't know, but he has a podcast.
Okay.
And he does I think he does it in like his attic.
Really?
Is what it? Yeah, something like that. And he does
Attic?
and they're like, I feel like we've talked about this before, but his guest is like on the other side of the room almost, and he's in they're like sofa chairs almost. They're like cozy chairs, like you sit and lean back in, and he's just like that the whole time. And I'm trying to think of what his mechanism. I think he might just have the stand also, but just a very different like layout of any other podcast I've seen before.
Yeah.
Or like it's very non-traditional, I guess, if you want to look at other ones. As far as like format and setting up and like where you're speaking into, where the other guy is or girl, we don't want to offend.
Yeah, I thought I mean it's
about to get canceled now.
Canceled. I don't even. Oh Jesus. Can you imagine if you just got a notice from Spotify or YouTube or whatever? You're canceled. You just can't log into your account. Done.
Joke's on them. I don't hardly even use that shit. I didn't understand that whole concept. I'm like, what? Did you see the thing about Diaz?
No.
Oh, you didn't see that? So there was back in the early days when they did the Joe Rogan podcast, when it was like Red Band, him, Just Redman and Joe, yeah.
In his house, right?
Yeah, I think
I think he's referencing
they used to do them like all over. I feel like in
Okay.
random spots, just on the spot type thing. But he did one, and Joey was saying something like, he was telling a story about like, I used to make like girls suck my dick to get up in the belly room or whatever, like to get stage time
Yeah.
or whatever. And in the heat of a story, he just kind of like exaggerated, like
Of course.
he never even worked in the belly room apparently. I don't know, like it was, you'd have to listen to the whole video to like get the context of it, but because like if you just watch the freaking 5-second soundbite, it sounds bad, yeah, but like he exaggerated in the story, and he was just telling about like how, I don't know, he was trying to explain himself, and like sometimes when you're telling a story, you know, like you just, you know how many stories he tells, like they're not always accurate and truthful, and like in exactly how it happened, exactly what came out of his mouth. And so, but he was getting shit about like, oh, like cancel.
Really?
Yeah, I
Does
think
he get like pressured by people and shit, or?
I don't know the extent of it, but like he was getting pushed back. Like he was in the news.
Damn.
Something about.
In the news?
Well, if you Google his name, like they're TMZ or something.
Oh, like goofy ass outlets.
Not like mainstream.
Like celebrity type.
Yeah.
Centered outlets.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Just looking for the next story.
When I first heard about it, I just Googled his name, and it said something about Brooklyn Nine-Nine star, which is like a show on Fox.
Mm-hmm.
Exposes Joey Diaz of, you know, like sexual favorite. I don't know. Like I don't know. It was funny, but
Interesting.
But yeah, that was when I first heard about the whole cancel thing, and I don't know.
Was this recently?
Yeah, like it happened. I saw it when Katie was still up, like 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago.
Oh shit.
Now he just jokes about it.
I'm sure he does.
Like
as he should.
Like, you know, fucking cancel me.
Dude.
I don't know, cause he's very truthful in everything he says. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. This is an interesting concept.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about him and his rant on the word retard. Have you heard him say that? It's like, you can't change the rules on me now, cocksuckers.
Wait, about using the word retard?
Yeah.
It's
definitely a stand-up bit.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Dude, I can never find any of his stand-up.
Really?
Well, there's like his special. But like if you try to YouTube him, there's no like...
Interesting.
Because he's done one special and he hated it.
Yeah.
In Chicago. And like if you... I don't know, you're able to find his stand-up?
I don't know where I saw that clip, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I've never
say
seen him on
YouTube,
stage.
But I'm not certain it was his account that it was coming from.
Oh,
you know?
That totally sounds like something. I may have seen that, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That's interesting.
It's interesting.
I've been listening to him a lot. He's interesting. He's like close with a lot of like music. Because he's really into music. Like he had Rudy Sarzo, which I don't know exactly.
I've heard him talk about that name before.
I think he
that name.
toured, but maybe with Ozzy Osbourne, because he kept referencing his name like on the show the other day. But yeah, he had he had the dude from Foo Fighters on. He had
really?
Yeah, a while ago. I remember like last year when I was moving
I don't
furniture.
even know his name.
I may recognize if I saw it, but did he have no, he didn't have Chris Cornell on, did he? I don't know, but I don't know. Just different.
Some interesting cats.
Other than just comedians, I feel like that's
Yeah.
who he mainly has on. But yeah. But dude, I don't know. It's very, very different from Rogan's, which I like. I like having the dynamic of both.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many different things out there. And like even even just still in the realm of comedians, like I know Theo Vaughn and like Bill Burr do just like a solo show where they just talk to themselves.
Oh really? Their own thing?
Mm-hmm. Like it's just them. That seems like it'd be weird to me. Like I can't imagine sitting here doing this by myself. Like just having a conversation with myself.
Huh.
You know?
Yeah, that's hard to imagine. Well, what's the format? Like, what are they talking about?
I don't know.
Just
I
anything?
listened to like 5 minutes of a Bill Burr one once, and I don't remember anything about it, to be honest with you, other than it didn't keep me for more than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I've never listened to Theo Von, although I've seen his clips on Instagram of him like talking about something. I think he just talks random shit, like just literally says random things about. Like, that's the
Yeah.
impression I get from him. Like, where are you coming up with any of this shit, dude?
Well, you know what? That makes a lot of sense because Donovan Flynn really likes him.
That does make a lot of sense.
He would play him in the apartment all the time. Like,
Really?
Yeah, like Theo Von. I'm like, what's his something last weekend maybe is his name of his podcast. I can't remember, but yeah, just like goofy shit. I don't know. Well, that's like what Tom Segura. Well, in a different way, but he just like picks apart like funny videos on the internet.
Yeah.
It's just goofy, like, I don't know.
It's like a Tosh thing almost.
Yeah. Him and his wife.
Yeah.
It's a really silly one. Yeah.
He's a funny guy.
I can't listen to too much though. Like,
Of Tom.
no, I actually never listen to him, but just too many podcasts. Like,
Mhm.
I don't do more than one a day. Like, if I do a Rogan, it's 3 hours. Like, that's it. It's too much.
Yeah, gotta digest a little bit.
It's yeah. It's just too much.
This is something that's had my attention a lot, is the idea that you consume so much stuff, like whether it's Rogan, something informational, something about politics or learning about history or whatever the fuck it is, like it just gets drowned out in the next thing you listen to. And like, so you listen to, 100 podcasts once instead of one podcast 100 times. Like,
yeah.
Like this dichotomy of just wide and deep. It's like it's the same concept. I feel like for me, I've listened to a lot of things and then just like I forget them. Here, if you, what are you trying to do?
I was just trying to move this, I guess, down maybe.
Yeah, and you can this.
I don't want to
move this part too.
Oh, like hinge here.
Well, this loosens up that joint.
No, I don't gotta do
Yeah. All right.
that. I just broke Aunt Christie's tent the other day, so I don't want to break this too. Whoops. I'm trying to force things that aren't supposed to be going a certain way.
Right. To be gentle.
Yeah, finesse.
Yeah, but like, do you feel like you listen to so much stuff that you forget what you remember, or you forget what you've listened to?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes.
Especially when you listen to more than one podcast, or
I think with Rogan, it's so, like, I don't know how he does it. He's got so many different, just from all walks of life. Like, he's always constantly researching different things. And, like, I don't know. Like, I couldn't dive in so deep to really fully grasp it and understand it, like, inside and out, backwards and forwards, side to side. Like, when you're just moving from one topic to the next, to the next, to the next. Like, I mean, he does it really well at having enough of a conversation, but, like, how much he's actually absorbing and learning and, like, I don't know. I'd rather understand something more than just hear it to hear it and then, like, oh, like, cool, and then, like, just hear something else and, like, not really be able to retain anything, you know?
Yeah. I've thought about I'm with you. I'd rather like consume something, whether it's a podcast or reading a book or whatever it is, and like actually know what the fuck I just listened to or read or whatever, and be able to. They say the ultimate test is like, can you explain it to a 5-year-old? It's like, if you can explain it to a 5-year-old, it's got to be simple, relatively short. Like, it's got to be digestible. Like, can you do that? It is like a good proxy for, or not proxy. Just shows if you know it or not. Like if you actually retained it. One thing I've thought about doing is like every time I listen to something, like making myself take notes on it before I listen to anything else or consume anything else. Like take some notes and like get the gist of what this was, and to like try to retain it before I just go to something else, you know?
Even if you don't understand it, or just to reinforce it?
Well,
Even if you already feel like you have a good grasp on it.
I guess it's different if it's like a podcast versus
A book.
Yeah, a book.
Yeah.
It's explaining a concept or something like that. But I don't know. Even like I don't know. Just somehow remembering it better, like retaining it. Whether it
Yeah.
is something that's meant to be understood or just like I don't know, something more trivial, I guess.
I remember the Naval dude. I don't know. Remember his last name. Yeah.
Ravikant.
You sent me. Yeah. He said something about like he only reads one page like at a time, or something. I'm not remembering it exactly right, but like he doesn't like if he's gonna sit down to read. I think he only reads one page and then he thinks about that one page for however rest of the time.
Interesting.
Yeah. Like the concept. Maybe it's not exactly one page, but the concept of who knows how much he actually reads. But like that would be really understanding it for sure. I don't know if he writes too, but
one thing so go ahead.
No, you're good.
One thing so I was making some videos for a little while.
Yeah.
And I like shorter ones because they were easier to make. I could like write a script and knock it out, and it removed a lot of the friction of making it a chore of having to do them.
Yeah.
And so I was doing it more consistently. I did like I don't know. But anyway, one thing I remember was I learned about this guy named Anton Chekhov who grew up in Russia in the mid-19th century. And when he was 16 years old, he was living in a city like within a couple hours of Moscow. And when he was 16, his family left to go to Moscow to escape debtor's prison because his dad was a drunk and was like beating his mother, I believe, and like left this 16-year-old kid to finish school on his own. And so he found himself in these like terrible circumstances, and he ended up paying for the rest of his school by tutoring kids on classes, and got really good marks that got him into a medical school. And then he went on to become this like super famous writer. He's like one of the most famous writers from Russia. Like I remember all this stuff because I was trying to express the concept of like you are not bound by your circumstances. Like they affect obviously the likeliness of you achieving whatever thing, but they don't define you, and you can overcome them. And I was trying to make that point, and I was using that story to do so. And because I like made that video, I remember all that shit about this guy.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like the idea of you remember things more when you teach them to somebody else, and like therefore like if you make more videos or write more blogs or do more of this, do more of that, where you're like trying to explain it to a 5-year-old in an essence, you retain more shit. I think that's really interesting.
Huh.
But it's obviously not feasible to do with like, well, not that it's not feasible to do with everything you do, but it's hard to have the discipline to do it with with everything you learn, you know?
That's interesting. Yeah, just like reinforcement. More reinforcement with it.
Yeah.
Huh. That makes sense.
It's I don't know. It's I think it's something that everyone suffers from now, like with just the internet out there, you know.
Oh, dude. Because you're just going from one
Information
tweet to the
overload.
next tweet. Yo, it's oh my god.
One tweet to the next tweet. Facebook, Netflix, all of it. There's so much, dude. There's so much.
I'm gonna take a sledgehammer to every piece of technology I own someday.
Dude, it's not even that. It's not even that. Look at the craft beer industry. The craft beer industry is going through the exact same thing.
That's true.
Breweries open, and people go to them for a year, and it's huge, a big success. And then it kind of levels off because people are looking for the next brewery. They want to try the next greatest beer. Like nobody just sticks with their beer now. They all fucking just
want to
like,
get
on a quest to try as many as possible. It's wild. It's wild.
Yeah. That's not as toxic though as Twitter can be.
It's not as toxic, but it's more poisonous.
Yeah. more beer. Literally.
Yeah. I don't know. It's weird.
Is that still going on? Like where microbreweries are they're still it's just totally saturated.
I'm not sure. Like, I would say there's probably literally an unquenchable thirst for breweries.
Yeah.
Humans like to drink.
Yeah.
So I would say probably not. Like it's getting more competitive, but I would say people are always gonna want to try new shit like that.
Yeah.
So,
which is understandable.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no, I don't blame them. It's just funny. It's I described this concept in another video about ice cream and how like the paradox of choice.
I watched that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. That was good.
The idea that having more choices makes you less happy because you have more like FOMO, you have more opportunity costs.
Yeah.
Of what you did choose. Like there's more things you didn't choose when you have more opportunity.
We all go through it, dude, in many different ways, like you point out. I remember that reminds me of like learning about it's the same idea of like satisficing versus maximizing.
Okay.
Like when you have MK is totally learning about that in CAP or has already learned about that. But have you like heard those terms?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you explain them? Because I don't know them.
So like maximizing
Super
is you have, let's just say you're going out, your buddy calls you up and you want to go out and get ice cream together. Let's just stick with the analogy and like you already said the ice cream thing. So let's just say you're out to dinner and it's like you go to a nice restaurant. It's Friday night. You had a long day of work. Like, so you want to make the most of the experience. So like you really pick apart and analyze everything of like how can I make this the best, but until you like really just drive yourself crazy focusing on just trying to make it so good instead of actually like making a decision and sticking with that decision and then enjoying and savoring that decision and enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're thinking about like, well, if I go this route, I could, I don't know if I want that. Like, that sounds good. This sounds good. Like, do I get that? Do I get this? Like, same thing. Like, you're just thinking about like the best way to enjoy it, and you end up enjoying it way less. Because this is the same exact idea.
Yeah.
So satisficing is just you pick it. You just pick one. You don't try to just kill yourself over the mental capacity that goes into just trying to make the best of that decision.
Right.
And just make one at the end of the day.
Because at the end of the day, it's not gonna matter.
Yeah, because you're only gonna get one to begin with.
Right.
We all go through it. No.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
What I think is even more interesting, like that's obviously a cool concept. What I think is even more interesting, dude, is how, like, the paradox of choice is like a different concept, or like it's in a different domain, but it's literally this. It's not literally the same thing, but it's very, very close to exactly what you just described from positive psychology. And like paradox of choice, I guess that's probably psychology as well, but I think it's really interesting how you can find patterns in different fields that are explaining the same idea. Like
with the breweries and the ice cream?
Yeah. Because it's the same kind of phenomenon. I mean, they're examples of these two theories, that like paradox of choice and satisficing and maximizing.
Yeah.
Maximizing, satisficing.
Yeah.
But so here's a more blatant example. The law of reciprocity is a principle from psychology. Karma is a principle from Buddhism.
Yeah.
And the other one is Newton's third law. Every reaction has an equal and opposite. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. It's the same principle that underlies each of those theories in wildly different domains. Social sciences, religion, hard science. Like, in completely different things, they all arrive at the same conclusion. Like, and I think that's crazy. I think that's when you see a pattern like that, that's something worth really paying attention to, because it probably applies to a lot of other things too. Like this, so this is the idea of mental models. Have I talked to you about mental models before?
No, you said earlier how you've been writing about them though.
So mental models are like principles or ideas that you can apply to a thing. So like you could apply satisficing, maximizing to going to get dinner, going out to ice cream, things when you have a large abundance of choice and how that affects like it might be good for you to have that in your pocket. Like that's a mental model from positive psychology.
Yeah.
It's a way of seeing the world, way of seeing a situation that helps you navigate it better to achieve a better outcome.
You're aware.
Right. Well, so you have to be aware of a mental model though like that is like a tool, right? So you have to know which tool to apply to which situation, which thing. Like depending on if it's a hammer or a nail, you're going to need a different tool.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like another example of a mental model, like I said, law of reciprocity. So it's a similar thing. So when you're thinking about a situation, like having that theory in mind is like whatever I put out will come back to me kind of thing, or however you want to describe it, can be helpful for like navigating a situation. Like if you want to get a job, like show that you're worthy of a job kind of thing. I mean, like there's several different ways to whatever, but I don't know, I think those things are really fascinating.
What was the first one you said? I'm sorry, you said karma from Buddhism, you said Newton's third law was the third one.
The law of reciprocity.
Law of reciprocity.
From psychology.
Yes, okay.
So like another one would be like the 80-20 principle.
Yeah.
Right? So like what's the minority, the 20% of things that are inputs in this situation or causes that are going to generate 80% of the effects. Like those are the key levers that I need to manipulate to do a thing. But like again, just a way of approaching a situation that I think is wildly useful. And like there was I saw an example from this psychologist who was talking about mental models. His name is Robert Sapolsky, and I don't know anything about his credentials or whatever, but I've heard the name before. I think he's pretty well known in that field. He goes, so why did the chicken cross the road? If you ask a kinesiologist, he'll tell you the muscles contracted and moved the chicken's legs across the street. If you ask a biologist, he'll say that, you know, in order to survive, the chicken thought it would be, you know, optimal for survival on the other side of the road. Or if you ask, a neuroscientist, the neuroscientist will say the chicken crossed the road because his brain fired different neurons that propelled the motion and like control. Yeah. And like depending on the way you see the world, it's going to interpret how you read a situation. And like if you have a more diverse set of ways to see the world, like you have more tools in your tool belt to approach a situation and like get a better outcome of it. Like if just from having a better understanding, you can take better action, more informed action.
You can wear multiple different shoes and see through those, like see through other people's shoes. But 100%. That's something I've been very fascinated by recently. Also, I just heard that sneeze in this microphone or in these headphones. Oh, her? I thought I heard her sneeze. This is crazy. I don't want everyone to know about the woman we're keeping in the basement, but dude, this is I'm used to it now, but we're in our own little world here. Yeah, dude, it's wild. It is. I heard you scratching your beard earlier too. Oh, really? I heard the whiskers. Yeah. That is some ASMR right there. ASMR? What is that again? This is what we were trying to figure out on the last podcast, and Katie was like, "You guys were so funny trying to figure it out." And I don't know what the acronym stands for, but it's like those videos you can watch that help induce you to fall asleep. Oh, right. Yeah, probably, yeah. Via like different frequencies and shit. Yeah. Tones or I don't know the science. I just know it's soothing to the brain. Yeah. Probably though, like this. It probably has something to do with like beta waves and alpha waves, maybe. Okay. Which ones are more soothing or relaxing? I want to say the beta waves, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe something to do with that though. But yeah, just like soothing sounds, like the. Nah, not that, like, but. Yeah, it's so calculated. It's like very. So, yeah, like pulling back the bristles on a hairbrush or something, and like the very slow sound of them, like. Yes. Like aligning, like just I don't know. It's interesting.
Satisfying.
Yeah, and there's crazy views out there on YouTube of people who made those videos, like millions of views.
Just for doing that shit?
Yeah,
Really?
dude, ASMR is like me. Yeah.
Well,
I've watched.
I've watched like relaxation music, like is the title of the video, and it's
okay.
like
Yeah.
doing some wah 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 wah, that kind of shit, some crazy shit. But I haven't seen like somebody with a hairbrush and like a microphone right there, just
Yeah.
like interesting.
They get kind of weird, actually.
I bet they do.
There's,
Could be really creepy.
dude, you should check them out sometime. But right, there's this one I've only ever used it maybe a few times to fall asleep. Like it's soothing, but like I usually can just fall asleep when I want to, like when I'm tired at the end of the day. But for whatever reason, I was looking up ASMR videos trying to take a nap one day, and I found this one. It was like this dude giving a haircut. He's like a young kid. He's like probably a teenager, and he was just like talking like real like this and like real quiet, and like while he's like giving a haircut, like so there you have the sound of the scissors,
Right.
and but meanwhile he's not cutting anyone's hair, obviously. Like he's just fucking, it's like he was like doing this across the camera, and just like the sensation of like getting a haircut, I don't know, which I mean is also kind of like soothing, relaxing. So
Yeah.
I don't know. They get there's so many different ones, and like there's some where there's no sound at all. People just talk talk soothing sounds into the microphone.
Really?
Yeah, it's interesting.
If you have a soothing voice, you're gonna go far in the ASMR world.
Well, you can just talk like this. No, you gotta have
Just
a
nice soft backgrounds.
Yeah. you're getting tired now. Very, very sleepy. It's interesting, but
That is interesting.
how do we get on that? I don't remember.
You said something was like ASMR. My beard.
Oh, when you said you heard her sneeze out there, and then I was
yes.
like, yeah, I could hear your beard earlier. And
Yes,
ASMR.
yes.
Yeah. It's funny to trace back conversations,
It is funny. Like how did we get on this tangent?
but when you can do it, it's like, oh no way, that all makes sense.
The dots connected.
Yeah,
It's very satisfying to connect those dots.
it is. Yeah.
Oh, dude, nothing like dots connected.
Oh man.
Just gets me up in the morning, you know.
I was
Just wanna
more
connect some
of
dots.
a word search man myself.
Fair.
Yeah, if you do Sudoku, then you go fuck yourself.
Smart people. We don't need you.
Yeah. No. Oh man. What else was going on in your world, dude?
Can I blow your mind with something else?
Please do. Yeah. No. Yeah. I didn't.
Well,
I didn't mean to derail.
No, you're fine. No, this is totally unrelated. Do you have more? Do you have any thoughts on mental models?
No, I don't, dude. You're more of a deep thinker than I am.
It's not even
most times.
It-
Yeah. More consistently.
I don't even know if it's deep thinking.
Not
Like,
deep
to
thinking.
me, it's just like
Putting the time in, devoting the time to.
okay.
yeah.
I'll take that.
I haven't had a good book that I've been reading in a while though. So it's not like I'm pulled to juicy content. Like if you got the juicy content, then it's like
Dude, I found some juicy content recently online.
Yeah.
Online. It's not books.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I found
Yes.
some blogs that are like pretty well written and say some interesting shit. But like I don't know what you're looking for. But
Oh, okay. Hit me.
I'll send you some links.
Oh, I thought you were what you were about to say right now.
Oh, I mean, I have a list. I was actually combing through some of them today. So how I stumbled upon this list and was so I've been writing a little more recently. So
Yeah,
I
you
found
said.
this guy's guide on writing, and like how to come up with an idea, how to write a compelling intro that makes somebody want to read the whole thing, how to brainstorm, find key talking points, create your argument, outline it, but then also like edit it and prune it and like take out the fluff and make it like straight to the point, and so it's more like explainable to a 5-year-old. So like really trimming the fat on something written. and trying to do it better. But anyway, he had a list of blogs that he recommended, and I was reading some of them this morning, and I read a few articles from at least 3 or 4 of them, and some of them were interesting. I read another one on how to write, but like they're like shorter things to consume.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like a chapter in a book versus like a whole book. Like, you don't go to a blog and read the whole blog, you know. But
usually not,
because it's on a diverse set of things versus a book is like packaged to be a very extensive thing, work on one thing or one topic generally. And each has their own strengths, I think. But no, I read some compelling shit today. I'll send you some links. One of the guys' name is Paul Graham. He's like a famous entrepreneur guy, but he writes about a bunch of different shit. But what I wanted to tell you about, it's gonna blow your mind. At least blew my mind, I should say. Maybe you've thought about this, but my guess is not.
I'm excited.
I was listening to Eric Weinstein. Have you ever? You hear the term like 3-dimensional, like 3 dimensions. We live in 3-dimensional world, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever? But you've heard like the 4th dimension thrown around, like that concept, right?
Yeah, you're talking about geometric unity.
So, does he? Well, I'm sure he does. But, have you ever thought about like tangibly like what that is? Not tangibly what it is, but like what that means.
I listened to the Rogan clip of him explaining it, and he used a lot of big words.
he does that.
I don't remember dick about it.
So
I listened to it once, and I'm like, oh, interesting. Okay, I never thought about it again.
So I listened to him talk to Brett Weinstein, who was on his podcast.
Oh yeah.
Within the last couple of weeks. Today, when I was taking a break from writing, and he was explaining the idea of dimensions and like how most people can't grasp it. And so he was like, most people see, when you talk about dimensions, that people think it's a visual thing, you know, so like length, width, depth, and height, or whatever, like those type of terms is like there's 3 dimensions, like you can only be this way, and this way, and like that's kind of your limit. Well, he was saying how, okay, so now I understand that people just see dimensions as something that's visual, whereas when you have like taste, for example, like you have sweetness, you have bitterness, like there's all these dimensions of taste. There's like texture is a part of taste. Like there's so many things, but it's not something you see, it's something you taste. And the same thing with music. Like you have tone and pitch and all these different things that, remember MK and Katie were talking about, that we were like, I don't fucking know. Like those are all dimensions of sound in a way. Like, but we think of dimensions as only like something we can see. And that like
interesting.
I've never understood what a dimension means before that, I guess. Like something measurable, I guess.
Well, what did he say?
He didn't say that explicitly, but like he brought up like hot peppers and shit. Like they're measured in Scoville units.
Yeah.
So like that's a dimension.
In
some sense, you know?
Yeah.
Which I just listened to today, and I do not have any other thoughts on other than what the fuck, to be honest with you. I was just like, whoa, I never got that.
It's just like, it's like looking at other units of measure. Is what it makes me think of. Like, you can measure it this way. Like, what's your measuring stick? Are you measuring, like you said, the tone, the pitch, the drop, the melody, the harmony? Like,
And I'm sure I didn't do it justice trying to explain it, but that was the basic premise that I got from it.
So it's just not visual. Like it's
yeah.
More but as it relates to how, like just in the universe, or like. Like was
That part, he was using a lot of big words there over my head, but I just thought the dimensions thing was cool. Like, do you know what I mean?
I don't know. I just thought it was cool.
I just thought it was cool, man. No, what do you mean?
Well, like that was a really interesting idea, like concept, but
Mhm.
like I applied to what I guess, like how you can like
They were talking about geometric unity.
oh where they were okay yeah.
And like, yeah, all that shit. It was like,
I won't make you try to explain that.
no,
Yeah.
no, I could not. I would refuse to try. Well, I did on another podcast, and I don't think it came out very well, so I'm gonna leave it alone. But yeah, it was just, I don't know. It gave me a better understanding of, I guess, what that meant. I thought it was interesting. It's hard to grasp what that means, though. You know what I mean?
The geometric unity or the
Just-
idea of
So he was arguing that with geometric unity, there are 14 dimensions.
why 14?
I don't fucking know, dude.
Oh, okay. Well, did he list
He didn't list them, but
fuck him.
his theory's shit.
Well, not
He
13.
didn't list the
I like
dimensions.
the number 13
Garbage.
better. Yeah. I'm like at 13 right here.
Dude, they were talking about triangles having all right angles, like 3 right angles, because of curvature of the triangle and some shit. And I was like, yo, nope.
No, you just draw a triangle and that's it.
Out.
Oh, but if there's more dimensions,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, freaky. Not freaky, just like, well, kind of freaky.
well, freaky to us because we didn't grow up learning it that way, and
Yeah.
our brain's not accustomed to that.
So that's the thing. Like, can you imagine?
We only think height, width, and depth.
Can you imagine exactly? Can you imagine growing up when, like, the current science said that the Earth was the center of the universe and the sun revolved around the Earth? You know what I mean? And then like you learn that actually, that's not true. It's like, wait a minute. So you're telling me you were wrong this whole time? And like, it's crazy to think that we.
Could be just that dumb.
Oh yeah, totally. Well, it's so.
Well, not. Well, we're getting smarter about our understanding.
We're getting a better understanding of
Yeah.
our environment and the universe and whatever. But like,
It's always
it'll
working.
probably never be perfect, you know? Like, there's
No.
always going to be some thing we haven't learned, probably.
Same thing like how like infinity. Like if you
Exactly.
cut something in half, you can do that for infinity.
Like, it's the
So,
same concept,
Yeah,
for sure.
it can just go on. There's always yeah, same concept.
A lot of things are like that. That's another, like, mental model almost.
Yeah, I was
you know?
that I was thinking about the whole time you were talking about dimensions and like when you use the analogy of like pitch, tone, whatever, just different things to tune into,
Mhm.
different things to look at and emphasize. Like, yeah. Huh.
There's different ways of looking at the world. Yeah, it's funny, like, the infinity one, it's like, you know, you have a molecule that's made of atoms made of electrons and neutrons and protons, but what are those made of, and like what are those things made of that those things are made from, you know? And then but you can get equally as big, and then obviously you get like solar system, universe, whatever, infinity. It's crazy.
I can't imagine being like Neil deGrasse Tyson, just like thinking about this shit on the regular.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't either. It's got to be overwhelming, overstimulating.
It's crazy.
Dude, what's new in your world?
Well, I'm a little freaked out right now. Because this conversation might be happening 100 different ways in other universes.
Another dimensions and
Like,
universes.
in one universe, like, that's not a Tribe logo, it's a Minnesota Twins logo. Like, I don't know.
Dude, that universe does not exist. I hate to tell you.
Nah. Tribe only.
Dude, they're so Chief Wahoo's been gone.
Oh,
but-
is he already gone?
Oh, he's been gone for a couple of years.
Years?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
wait, I remember because you ordered that hat because he was going to be gone and you wanted to
Mhm.
get one.
I think he was even already gone at that point.
Oh, shit.
But the Indians are gonna be gone altogether.
Oh no! What are they gonna be?
I don't know.
The indigenous peoples.
The OGs. No, because
Gangsters.
I'm sure that word's offensive to somebody somewhere as well. So, I don't know. Dude, talk about infinity. Like, there's always gonna be something to get more outraged about. You know?
Yeah, but it's the people. Like it. Man, we just gotta kill off those people. Then we can just stop infinity. Infinity of offended pussies. Like I don't know. Like I don't know. I shouldn't use that word on here.
Dude. It's fine. Nobody's listening to this anyway. Don't worry.
That's true. Yeah.
But it's funny. I was having this chat with Pat on
Pat
Tuesday last week, and talking to him about how, because he told me about the Indians. I didn't know this.
Oh yeah.
Or no, I think somebody brought it up to me on 4th of July. Actually, I think Jordan brought it up. But anyway, I was talking to Pat about it, and he pointed out, like, eventually, like, it's just gonna be offensive to have, like, animals that represent a sports team. Like, San Jose Sharks? Nope. No sharks.
Sharks or yeah.
We can't make fun of the Sharks like this. They don't represent a bunch of people skating around, slapping rubber around.
Slapping rubber around.
That's not Sharks.
That's
You're making a fool of the Sharks. We can't do that. It's offensive.
Man.
Can you imagine, like, it's insane.
Who are these people though? I don't understand. Like it's like I live in one world and then I hear about things that go on in another world that I'm not really living in, but like I'm on the same physical place as where that's happening. But like I don't actually live in that world. I just hear about I'm like, what's going on in World 2 over there? Like I'm still in World 1. Like everybody in World 2's got their thumb up their ass. Like,
dude,
I don't know.
It is insane. It is insane. It's a never-ending.
I hear about it, but it just.
I remember telling Dad that Merry Christmas is offensive because you need to say Happy Holidays because it's non secular. Is that the right term? It's not affiliated with religion.
Unsecular, yeah, maybe something. Yeah.
But Dad was like, nobody's ever gotten upset when I said Merry Christmas to them, and I was like, true. However,
there's like 335 million people in this country,
and some of them get upset.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's it turns everything into a gray blob. It's slowly making us gray blobs, you know.
We're gonna look like those manufactured Krabby Patties. You just bite into it, and there's no longer a burger, cheese, and lettuce and tomato. It's just gray turds.
It's just gray matter. Dude, it's like.
Oh man.
It's like in fantasy hockey, how you make your team. We did on Yahoo, and you could have those little helmets that were different colors.
Yeah.
That's gonna be the teams. It's gonna be the teams.
It's gonna be colors.
We're gonna have blue team versus green team, but actually blue team is sensitive to people who are sad and depressed, so we need to get rid of blue. Just like we can't have a 13th floor on the elevator, like that's not cool.
Yeah.
We can't have blue. All the other colors though, we're gonna have 32 Crayola crayons as the teams.
Yellow's gonna offend people who are vitamin D deficient. Like
no, the Chinese.
Oh yeah, Chinese. Yeah. Well, there's multiple ways to offend that one.
Oh man,
that's too much. It's Well, on the bright side though, comedians are gonna thrive. Like material.
There's plenty of material going around.
Yeah, they don't even need to leave the house. They just go on Twitter.
It's true. It's crazy, but it's true.
Yeah,
dude. I was also talking to Pat. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Well, I was just gonna say. I feel like I feel like it's been a theme on Rogan the past, I don't know, 10 guests. Like the Twitter is. He's just like. Twitter's just a war zone right now. Like it seems. I don't know. I don't go on Twitter, but that's all I keep hearing about. Cause it's like. To some degree, he always talks about COVID with his guests. It's what's going on in the world. Yeah, it's like. Yeah, so I don't know. It's just like a war zone out there. That's where all this weird shit's happening.
It's insane.
What were you talking about, Pat, about?
I'll come back to that.
Oh, okay.
But in Twitter, I found to actually be a cool place.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll explain why.
Oh, I'm not saying it's not, but
No. It's full of a lot of shit.
Pros and
I
cons,
used to
yeah.
just like blanket it like that. Like it's just a war zone and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
But there definitely is that going on, which is something else. But it's like talk about like when I was talking about writing and good writing and how you might have like something you write, but you end up deleting half the words to say the same thing but make it more concise and to the point and matter of fact and compelling.
Mm-hmm.
Twitter's like the same thing. It's like the way it is, so it's so real-timey that it's like a stream of thoughts of real-time things, and a lot of people like Naval use it to like put things out there that are like things I don't think about or whatever, I don't know, but in a very succinct manner that's like poetic almost versus a book or versus a book or a blog, you know what I mean? Like it's you only have a certain amount of characters to work with, and you can say something very powerful and distilled that way.
Mm-hmm.
Because of those constraints, it forces you to do that, which, you know, from the constraints breeds a lot of creativity, basically.
Yeah, it forces you to get outside the box.
Which is cool. So there is positive shit going on Twitter that I've found recently.
For sure. Sorry.
No, dude, don't be sorry. I'm just saying, like, Twitter is definitely the war zone of all that shit, though. Like that's where it's all going down real time. I mean, not all, but coupled with, you know, news articles from goofy left-wing publications and whatnot too. But Twitter's definitely a happening place for shit like that. What I was gonna say about Pat though is I was talking to him also about how I brought up that I read. This is what I read. You know how they got rid of Aunt Jemima? Aunt Jemima.
No way. Dude, I almost just squeezed some syrup out of her head the other day.
No longer,
really?
sir.
I thought about that. Mrs. Butterworth's probably been gone for a while then.
Oh, I forgot about Mrs. Butterworth.
I feel like Jemima just booted her right out. She just took her spotlight.
Does Mrs. Butterworth have a persona? Or is it just a name? Is there a character?
What do you mean?
Like Aunt Jemima, like you had the lady, like the black lady.
Yeah.
Is there an equivalent Mrs. Butterworth? Like where there's a person on the bottle?
No, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think there might have even been like not the plastic wasn't shaped in her face, but
yes.
Was it?
Because her head was the spout. I remember this now.
I think you're right. Yeah. That's something. Yeah, I'm not the full bottle, but just the very tip, the spout. Yeah.
Was there also a person on the label?
There might have been him.
I wonder if she's been attacked as well.
I don't know.
Anyway, though, I was talking to Pat about how somebody, it was, I think, the, like, son or, like, whatever of the person who created Aunt Jemima syrup was, like, outraged that they got rid of it because it's, like,
Black Lives Matter.
It ties into their cultural roots and, like, this kind of thing, and, like, they're proud of it.
Yeah.
And, like, there's people, I'm sure, that want to keep the Indians because they're proud and they see it as honoring a past culture versus being disparaging. Like, the funny thing about that is that all the people that get outraged at how offensive and everything this is are, like, speaking from their fucking air-conditioned apartment in New York City and don't have any kind of, you know, Native American heritage or indigenous people heritage or whatever. Like, they're just... It's so out of context versus I'm sure you'd find a lot of people that actually hold the opposite view, that it's supportive and honors that culture, and it's the opposite of offensive. It's honoring it.
Dude, you just blew my mind. Because all you hear about is fucking the other side, not that it's not honoring it, that it's disparaging and it's negative. Wow. That makes a lot of sense. Like, to be named a baseball team after that? No, that does make a lot of sense.
I would love if a baseball team was named after me.
Why are we not consulting?
My heritage.
Why are we not consulting the Native Americans about this?
I don't know. Maybe they've been consulted. I don't know. I'm
Dude, I'm gonna have a chat with them next time I see one.
Dude. Go down to the casinos.
Yeah.
Who's in charge here?
I was just you know what they're doing to your team out in Cleveland? They're gonna be a blue helmet pretty soon. That's all they're gonna be. They're not gonna be some badass hunter gatherer who just freaking domesticated every fucking natural animal on this planet or continent, whatever. Dude, that's crazy though. No, that makes a lot of sense. But you just hear, well, honestly, it probably maybe boils down to the fact that, like, you know, the negativity bias, like it's easier to see it as a like a negative, like, but again, there's so many different perspectives, I guess, that are in, you know, placing their opinion on it, but they see it more of as a negative one than an honorable thing, like to have, you know.
100%. Negativity bias, mental model.
And if you're not thinking about it long enough, and then you're just a fucking lazy thinker.
True.
To think about it from a different mental model, like, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. I would say that definitely plays in negativity bias.
Well, yeah, it's easier to the same thing that, like, I don't know. That's how the news is. Like, the news is way more negative than positive. Like, it's just feeding into people's, like, that's what gets the views. Like, like,
that's what drives the clicks. That's what drives the dollars.
Little Timmy's arm got chopped off in a tractor last night. Like, meanwhile, last week, little Timmy aced his spelling test. Like, all right, Tim. Like,
good job, Tim.
Yeah, why can't I send him a poke on Facebook to let him know I'm...
Congratulations, Timmy.
I don't think we want to be poking Timmy.
Then you're gonna be, dude. Then
you're gonna be on the news.
If you poke kids underage on Facebook, you become a sex offender.
That's probably already happening. South Park is probably doing that. Oh man.
There was totally a South Park about Facebook and friends and having friends.
Yeah, that one gets played a lot.
Does it?
Yeah, where the kid has no friends. you have 0 friends. It tells him.
Was it Stan has no friends, right?
No.
Or is it Kyle?
Kyle starts losing his friends because he friends this kid who has 0 friends, and then his, like, you know, friendability goes way down because he's friends with this loser. So all of Kyle's friends pull out from being his friend.
Gotta bail on Kyle.
Cartman's because Cartman takes the place of what's that show? That dude Jim Cramer, who does, like, the stock reports, like, the very fast and upbeat, and they do. Cartman does, like, a thing and, like, all right, like, Kyle Bravlovsky's stock is dropping way down because he friended a loser. Like, you're gonna want to drop Kyle immediately and add Clyde Donovan. Clyde just had a birthday and turned 8 last week. And add Clyde Donovan. Oh man, it's too good.
South Park is great.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. Yeah, they're gonna be thriving during this too.
Oh, dude, how can you not?
It's actually, that's one of the things that cause, you know, there's some comedians that are, like, have done shows since, and with this one chick, what was her name? Not Kate Quigley. I can't remember her name. She was on Joey's podcast, like, in the last couple weeks. But she already did a show.
Miss Pat?
No. She's hilarious though. Oh my god. She was the white chick, not Miss Pat. But she did a show, and I'm pretty sure she just talked about like COVID for the first, like, opening. Like, how do you not like Diaz was like, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do, just, like, for, like, 20 minutes or whatever. Like, it's just so relevant. Same reason, like, Rogan, like, one of his guests, like, one of the first things they talk about is just, it just naturally comes up. Like, it's a thing right now in our world. Like, and it's very prevalent in some way, shape, or form wherever you go, really.
Big time.
Yeah. So I think even Rogan said he's gonna walk out on stage and just, like, spray a bunch of Lysol and just, like, run through it or something. I don't know, like, just something super relatable right now. But how'd we get on that? I don't even remember. South Park doing
outreach culture in comedians, being good for comedians.
Yes, yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
Oh, I had something to say. I just lost it. What was I gonna say? Oh, MK and I are supposed to go to New York City
That's right.
on August 7th? 7th? To see Eliza Schlesinger, and we're supposed to go to Philly on the 28th or 9th to see Rogan. I don't know if either of those things are happening. And if they are happening, it's going to be weird, because there's no way they're going to fill the theaters, because you obviously can't do that. In which case, some people are going to lose their tickets, right? Like, you don't have enough... You sold more tickets than you can see people. So, like,
Yeah.
I don't understand what's going to happen.
I remember you asking me to go see Rogan a while ago. I figured that already got canceled or something. I mean,
Not yet.
in
Eliza
Philly?
Schlesinger, we were supposed to see April 1st, and that got postponed to the 7th. But
Yeah,
it
that
might get postponed
again. Yeah, I don't
I
think
wouldn't be
we
surprised.
really know. Yeah, some people I think are just taking the year off, like comedians.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
Like, and even then, who knows? You know, it might be. I don't know.
Do you find COVID consuming a lot of your mental energy?
I have to think about that. You know, no. On a day to day, not like, no, not on a day to day, but like maybe subconsciously a little bit. It gets to me, you know, and then it comes out in different ways, metabolizes in different ways. Just when, I don't know, you go to the store and see enough people in masks time after time
Right.
after time, and it's like, fuck, it's July. Like, geez, I remember talking about this back in April, thinking like, yeah, end of July it should be all gone.
Right.
So, you know, it's like, ugh. And then you have conversations, obviously, about it sometimes, more long-winded ones, and then it's like, then maybe everything you don't talk about on a day-to-day, but you're still inputting, like, you're walking around and you know there's a fucking pandemic
Yeah.
going on, like,
Yeah.
it's affecting everything out there. So it's just input, and then eventually I feel like it soaks through you and you absorb it, and then it just comes out in different ways. But as far as like day to day, I don't know, it doesn't really consume me. Like,
You don't pay attention to any news or anything like that?
Dude,
or-
I haven't turned the TV on in so long.
Good for you. It's... So I told you I was writing something on, like, focusing on what you can control.
Yeah.
And the first, like, I'm talking about COVID and, like, the news. And,
How
like,
could you not? Yeah.
And one of the things I said is almost verbatim what you said. It was, like, naturally it just comes up in conversation, like, with these comedians. Like, they just end up talking about it because
Yeah.
it's so relevant. But, like, it's so... It's fun to, like, talk about sometimes, especially if it's not, like, you know... on a really, like, to really dive in on it, I guess, is more interesting to me, rather than, like, having every conversation you have with every person just be some surface level conversation about COVID. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
it's supposed to be hot today. Oh, it's supposed to 100 people are supposed to
Exactly.
die today.
it's like, well, and you were talking about the news and, like, the negativity bias and that kind of thing. It's the same kind of thing. It pulls you in. It's like this. I relate it in this essay I'm writing to like a cringy reality TV show that you just can't look away from, that you have no control over, that's, like, gonna happen or with or without you, but you just can't stop looking at it. You can't
Yeah.
stop paying attention to it.
Yeah.
Like, I think the whole news thing is crazy, and, like, if it's not COVID, it's something else. But
Of course.
I don't know. I don't watch the news ever, and part of me feels like, not part of me feels like, I hear the argument a lot, like, I can't watch the news, I need to be, and I don't hear this argument a lot, let me clarify. Have heard this argument for watching the news, like, and of course not watching the news, that you need to be, like, informed about what's going on in the world. Like, you have a responsibility as a citizen to be, like, in the know about what's going on.
Yeah.
And I don't... Why? Like, you can't do anything with that information. You know what I mean? Like, you literally... Like, how does it affect your day-to-day life? Maybe it does. Maybe there's more merit there than I'm uncovering or thinking of right now, but I want to write something on that idea, like should you or should you not consume the news? Because I think that's interesting. My personal obligation is to, or my personal inclination is to not watch the news because of the idea of focusing on what you can control, and like ultimately, like it doesn't affect me, whatever. Like it does on a high level, but as it's not going to help me in my day-to-day life, like make strides in my life.
I think it's important to do that. I think it would be important for you to define news.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
100%.
Because there's so many different news. Like, you could still be... Some people probably refer to, like, you know, checking Twitter as, like, the news. Like, you know, who you're following. Like,
yeah.
The news on TV could be, well, who are you watching? The newspaper, like, I don't know, like, journal, like Wall Street Journal or New York Times. Like, all those just different...
100%.
Yeah. The news is definitely not... solid. Not.
The internet has made it take a lot of different forms.
Yes.
When I think of the news, I think of like TV, like legacy type
most people
media,
do, yeah.
right? But
yeah.
Obviously, like it needs to be defined more. But because I mean, the idea of generally focusing on what you can control, like whether you're consuming the news on Twitter or on like Fox on TV, like you're getting the same shit. It's just a different way of getting it. So it's like effectively the same thing, right? You still can't control it. It still doesn't necessarily pertain to your day-to-day life, but I don't know. Shit, I just lost my train of thought. I want to learn the argument for watching the news and being informed more because I think it's interesting. So this is what I was about to say. In the thing I'm writing now, like I said, I obviously touch on the news, talking about focusing on what you can control. And something I said was, or the argument I ended up making was along the lines of like, if you feel like if it affects your day-to-day life, then by all means do it. But I don't think you need to be informed on something that doesn't affect your day-to-day life. So if you like maybe you have money invested in the stock market and every month you get money automatically taken out of your checking account or your paycheck rather to go into your account that gets invested in the stock market. So therefore you think you should like pay attention to the stock market. But whether that number is green or red doesn't affect whether you're putting that money in that account or not. Like you're doing it regardless. So you're just riding this emotional roller coaster instead of just like letting it happen and not worrying about it. If you were a day trader, then it would affect more of your day-to-day stuff. But if you're a day trader, like the news level of finance is probably not enough. You need more detailed information, right?
Oh yeah.
So it's like the news is like in that sense like this surface level understanding of something, whereas like if the surface level understanding of something is enough for you, then you probably don't need it at all because you're just getting your money put in anyway, right?
Yeah.
If it's not enough, then you have to go to something besides the news anyway that's more specific to what you're doing because it affects your day-to-day life.
Yeah.
In both scenarios, like the surface level thing doesn't work.
Yeah.
So why pay attention to it? I want to like explore this idea more, but that's essentially the conclusion I came to.
That makes a lot of sense.
Ironically, it's like, are you looking at solar systems or are you looking at atoms? Not are you looking at water bottles, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, well,
I think
I don't think that's the same thing at all, but
if to make an argument too, you obviously simplified it just to two views.
Yeah. Oh, it's totally a spectrum.
Yeah.
Not
There's many different, like same thing with the dimensions. There's many different ways you could look at that and approach that and say, like, I don't know. I think like direct effect is obviously more impactful and would cause someone to watch the news especially, but I feel like it's like the indirect effect. There's more things that are gonna maybe indirectly affect you than directly affect your day-to-day life. Like what Trump's working on, or the bill they're trying to pass that, like, says you can't have a abortion passed. Like, I don't know, and your niece is pregnant right now. Like, I don't know. Like, so I don't know. There's just, you should write it. Like, if you research it, you'd definitely find that, like what people are watching the news for. I mean, I feel like there would probably be more people who feel indirectly affected it by.
For sure. There's no doubt. We're all indirectly affected by it.
Yeah.
So
okay, that makes sense. But
I am gonna explore it more.
Yeah.
One of the concepts that I read by this guy Julian was that he argued that to write is to think. Like, if you think about something in your head and like you're just you're not talking to yourself or anything, you're just thinking about it. You jump around, like your logic jumps. You make gaps in thought. Like the reason you can't speak everything you're thinking is because your mind moves faster than your mouth can. But like in a nutshell, right? But to write something, you have to like put it on paper, externalize it, and then like it's out there to be scrutinized. It's not like something that's here and gone, kind of like this conversation too. Like writing's more static, and it can be analyzed better as a result. And like that makes you have to think about it more. Yeah. Because like you might think some shit makes sense in your head, but then you write it on paper and you're like, this is the dumbest shit ever.
And you can see the jumps and the gaps in thought there, yeah.
Which is why I think it's valuable to write about something like this that I've thought about. But I wanted to say something else about what you said about the news. Oh, it all relates to you. So I had that thought too while I was writing, right?
Yeah.
Like the degree to which something relates to you is on a scale. It might not be directly in your indirect life, but some things are going to relate to you more than others, and that kind of thing. And one thing I thought of was like, what about geometric unity and the laws of physics? Like, what affects you more than the laws of physics?
Yeah.
What do you give the least shits about the laws of physics? Like, you don't give that any thought, let's be real. The average person, right? It affects the fuck out of you. But you have about as much control over it as you do control over what the fuck Trump's writing about. You know what I mean? Dude, so I don't know. Like, I think there's and maybe that doesn't address the point. Maybe I'm missing the crux of it, and it needs to be looked at from a different angle.
Yeah, which is to extrapolate it out. That's all the more importance of doing that. Like,
exactly,
having those different tools and different mental models to look at it.
Exactly.
Helps further the understanding of like why you think a certain way and why the person in the next room thinks a different way.
Yeah. 100%.
Dude, that's so funny. I don't know why, but I was sitting on the lake this morning. I told you I was kind of in like a crappy, depressing mood today, and I don't know. I was like, I like sitting outside. I'm gonna go sit outside, just looking at the lake and talking about like the laws of physics affecting you. I don't know why I thought about this, but I was just like thinking about like gravity. And I'm like, what if gravity just, cause I had like these. I'm gonna tie this together. They were talking about recently on Rogan on how like different theories are like offensive now and like racist or whatever because they came from a certain way. Like, so I'm like, I just got thinking about like, oh, like there's still like working theories, like like, but we've accepted gravity. But like, well, with all this like with these like theories of different things in academia that like we've accepted for a long time in our culture, in our society. Well, what if they get refuted or debunked or whatever? Like, what I was starting to think of, like, what if gravity just like, what if that dock just starts floating up in the? I just found myself laughing. I'm like, what if I just start leaving the ground, like
levitating?
I'm like, oh shit, I'm still on there. Like,
we're good. We're stuck for now.
That was you just triggered somebody of that funny thought I had this morning.
Dude, it's a very funny thought. But so, ironically enough, I actually use this as a comparison in what I wrote about mental models, right?
Yeah.
I was arguing that no mental model is perfect. It's a model. And like, to your point, no theory is like 100% perfect, right?
Yeah.
And you know, all theories are
Generally accepted.
so exactly.
Generally accepted accounting principles.
So yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's the literal acronym. Yeah.
So what makes the merit that they have comes from the utility that they have. It's like how useful they are. Gravity, useful as fuck. Do we understand how it works? Hell no. Hell no. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we don't know how gravity works. We just know that, like, we have an idea of how gravity works. Like, there's the force, like, whatever, 9.97
meters
something
per squared
per second.
Yeah.
But it's like, we don't know how to manipulate it, you know? But, like, people have talked about manipulating gravity the way if you put a bowling ball on a bed, it, like, you know, it sinks in, and then if you put something else on the bed, it'll, like, follow the plane of the mattress, of course, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, like, how that's kind of like manipulating gravity, and we don't know how to do that more effectively. Like, we gravity is useful to us, but we really don't understand it.
No.
You know, and mental models are the same way. Like, they're imperfect, but what makes them good is how useful they are
Based on the information we have.
based on the context.
Yeah.
100%. Because everything's different based on the context.
Just like the kid growing up in science class 100 years from now might be like, yeah, gravity. We learned about that. Like, I got gravity in my pocket. You want some?
Yo, I'm not feeling too. I'm low on gravity today. You help keep me down.
Yeah, let's go stop at Sunoco. I need some gravity.
That'd be it. Yeah, there's a lot of shit we don't understand.
That was Rogan was saying the other day too. Same concept. And I think he was talking to that Alan Levinovitz dude, whatever.
Yeah.
You can't be married to your ideas.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. That's all I was gonna say. But it just made me think of it.
I'm a huge, like, I was about to say I'm a huge believer in, but like, I don't even think that does it justice. I don't just, it's not something that, like, believing in something I think is as fundamental as this is silly. Like, it's just a thing. Like, you should challenge your own beliefs because you either one, you're gonna not be able to break them when you challenge them. That's the idea of, like, being able to argue somebody else's side of the argument better than they can.
Yeah, you've told me about that.
Which is the same kind of concept, right? So either you know their argument and it doesn't hold water against yours, or you know their argument and you learn that it's better than yours, and so now you have new information and you can, like, course correct and have a, you know, better understanding on something. Like, you just upgraded your understanding, basically, you know.
And it's still, like, a working understanding.
Right. And it's, you know, it might be subject to other things, but, like, you made a step in the right direction. You improved. It's the same, like, beliefs that aren't tested aren't strong. And so I think being closed-minded is, like, the worst thing possible for like a human life. Like, that's dramatic, but it's
I know
up
what
there.
you mean.
It's
like,
up there.
Yeah.
Like, it's like a great analogy for this, or way to think of it. It's like kind of like a mental model, right? Is going to the gym. Like, you go to the gym, you lift weights, and your body gets strong. You want to make your mind strong, your beliefs strong, you test them, just like you test your body with weights. You test your muscles with weights. It's the same concept.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's huge. Like, but it's crazy how when you, like, talking about academia and, like, accepted shit, how some things are just accepted and, like, you can't challenge them. You know, like, you can't challenge the woke Olympians, you know. You could, because they're right. You know what I mean? And if you're challenging them, you're a bigot and you need to be canceled.
Yeah, it's
like, they're not. There's no discussion to be had. It's already made up.
That's so dangerous.
It's incredibly dangerous.
And we don't want those people in power.
Yeah. Yes, correct.
I don't know, dude. We're like, heard something like we're more polarized than we were like, than we were the lead up to the fucking Civil War. Like,
Yeah.
dude, we might be headed for Civil War.
We need revolutionary change without
Yes.
revolutionary warfare.
Yes, I would prefer it that way.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
That's also something they said on Eric and Brett's podcast that I listened to today.
Oh,
Yeah. I didn't actually listen to him say it, but it was an audio tag title, like timestamp. That's the word. But yeah, we need like people, like humans are humans, right? We go to McDonald's because it's cheap and it tastes good, and like we take the easy way out. We take the path of least resistance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if the system, like politically and whatever, is set up to give somebody the path of least resistance, and that path of least resistance is one that lacks integrity, like it's going to be taken regardless. Like humans, we'd like to think that we're better than that, you know, but I don't think we are. I think our human nature, like, is generally, and I shouldn't blanket all humans like that, but the ones who there are a lot of people that will take that cut in integrity in exchange for
sure,
betterment. And if that's the way the incentives are set up, then that's what's going to happen. And we have a system that does that, and so as a result, like, creates problems.
We're in the shit show we are.
The shit show we are. So I don't know, like you almost need a better system. You kind of need a better system, or you need like, I don't know if I'm way talking like over my head here. I don't know enough about the system to say that, but I think it's pretty clear that it rewards bad behavior. You know?
Can you give me an example? For like a citizen to the system sets up least resistance and they take it, like,
so
just to hit it home.
Yeah, so
reinforce it.
Like somebody who works at a independent news station is gonna create a article that's like, they need to create an article that gets a lot of clicks and views, so it makes money for the firm, so the firm's shareholders are pleased, because a corporation, by definition's number one responsibility is to make money for its shareholders. And if the way it has to do that, and so it's got to find a way to do that. Like, it's not to have integrity while doing that. It's to do that. So they need to write the polarizing article that generates the clicks, that has some crazy shit in it, that gets people more outraged. Like, it's a bad wheel. That, and I mean, you could talk about pharmaceutical companies and how the funding from like research they do comes from corporations that have an interest in them getting a certain result to push their product to make it better. Like, it's just, there's a lot of broken incentive systems.
No, that I just want to hear an example. Like, that's totally, I believe you. I just want to hear like it's layman's terms. Like, yeah, definitely. Helps lay it out. That was good.
Okay.
Yeah. No, that helps lay it out. Like, yeah, it's pretty kind of fucked.
I'm sure there are better examples, but those are.
I mean,
they're everywhere.
it makes a lot of sense. I was actually just gonna expand upon that, but I lost it.
Dude, expand that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know. Like, I feel like it's guys like Brett and Eric Weinstein that like. Well, did you know about the whole thing at Evergreen College with Brett? Yeah, okay. So I didn't until I listened, and I didn't really research it. Chuck filled me in a little bit, the quick version, because I was listening to him last Friday on my way out to Rochester, and I never listened to him before, and but like he predicted that like this is gonna be a problem, and like I feel like it's those types of thinkers and minds that see the world, like are able to see a scenario and have, like, I don't know, like within the next few years, like a not too far off like prediction. I don't know, like Yeah, something big is stirring.
They strike me as people that have integrity to call it like it is, to say it like it is.
Those are the people we want in power.
100%. You need like, this is something I always go back to is, and something again I wrote about, and whatever. So, any relationship is built on trust. Like, if you don't have trust in the other person, what do you have? Like, not a functioning relationship, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So you need to be honest and have integrity to build trust. Well, if you live in a system that disincentivizes honesty and integrity, then you're not going to have trust. And if you don't have trust, then you're not going to have functioning relationships. And you need trust in a relationship, whether it's the relationship you have with your spouse, your brother, your parent, your employer, your insurance company, or your government. Like, they're all relationships. And if there's no trust in those relationships, they're going to falter. And bad shit's going to happen. Like, we learn this shit when we're young as fuck. And we just become adults and decide.
And forget it.
Fuck it. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Whew.
It's wild. But you need those people to, like, speak out. And what's good about those types of things, like with Evergreen and whatever, is with Brett, that it's kind of like an example of, like, oh yeah, these people are definitely crazy.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. Like, I thought they were, I thought they were good people, but no, they're crazy.
wait. So can you give me a rundown? I don't fully understand this situation.
I don't know exactly what happened, but Brett works. Oh no, this is what happened. I believe it. I believe I remember. Evergreen State College was doing a some kind of day to honor the black community, where only black people would go to campus. Everyone else needed to stay home.
Yes.
Brett spoke out, said this was racist. And so a bunch of students, I believe, showed up at one of his lectures and started shouting and screaming and, like, preventing him from teaching. And then it got pretty intense, apparently. Brett left and people were, like, looking for him with baseball bats, apparently.
I heard that.
Like, yeah. So,
okay.
but again, like, those people that were shouting and whatever, like, it just, one quote that's been sticking with me recently is, the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yeah.
Like, my feeling is that these people that are doing these crazy things and, like, trying to be woke, like, are thinking they're doing a good thing. Like, they have good intentions, but they're lost in the clouds. Like, they're not sticking their head up to, like, look where they are and what's going on.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that quote has come up to me several times recently. It's just been top of mind with all that shit going on. But yeah, that's generally what happened.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds familiar. That's wild.
Yeah.
I feel like there's so much shit to just break down in the world right now.
But now think about the fact that the university, like, essentially, this could be wrong. I believe that the university more or less sided with the students protesting at Brett's lecture and hunting him down with baseball bats rather than Brett, in that they, like, did the day and everything like that. I don't believe Brett works there anymore.
No, he got drove out of the college. Him and his wife. Yeah.
No.
I remember him saying that on the podcast.
There you have it then.
Yeah.
But, like, so that you have a university structure that's also incentivizing this kind of behavior. Like, that's the scariest part, that it's, like, breeding itself, you know?
Like,
it's scary.
How do we have that? Who are these people that are, like, are they acting out of fear because they don't want to, like, they're scared themselves and they don't want to go against the grain of, like, oh, like, they mean business, like, let's just better concede, and I don't.
That's 100% part of it. Like, it's
That's so scary.
It's a signaling thing, and if you're not signaling,
ignoring the
then
truth.
your job's in jeopardy. Like there. So here's another quote for you. You can't. It's hard to convince a man to believe a thing when his salary depends on him not believing it.
Well, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Jesus
You know?
Christ.
Like there's again an incentive structure there that's broken somewhere, where you have people that are conceding to these crazy ideas in order to save their ass and keep their job, which like
It's fucked up.
having the courage to like speak out and
Yeah.
tell the truth is fucking brutal in that setting. Like you're gonna lose your job,
Yeah. It's on a systematic level.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
that's a bad example. Like, that's a bad model for other colleges. I don't know. It all comes down to the people, like, making there's so many interests, like, involved, I guess.
Yeah.
Like
It's a very
salary,
complex.
they don't want to be.
Yeah.
They don't want to be seen as anti-woke. They don't want to. I don't know. So many things going on with that.
Mhm.
It's scary. That's freaky though. Ugh. Dude.
Yay!
Yeah. Yeah.
Just grapes the kids.
He just gripes the kids.
Classic.
Yo, if Kitty watched this, she'd love that. I'll have to tell her to check that out. Classic.
Dude. What do you say, dude? You want to wrap this up?
Yeah, I'm down.
Deal.
What time is
It's
it?
getting a little warm in here.
Yeah, I'm sweating.
It is 9:07. We've been on for an hour and a half.
Oh wow. Oh, that wasn't too long.
Nah.
That was good.
It definitely didn't seem that long though. It does seem more. It's the headphones definitely make it more immersive, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
You liked it?
No, I do. Yeah, I had to get used to it at first. It was freaky at first, cause like
Being in your own ear.
well, yeah, cause all I can hear is myself. But now I'm like, it's just like having a conversation. I just hear you a lot better. Yeah.
Versus, I think Rogan explained this one time where, and this is the way it most resonated with me, that drove me to get these headphones in the first place, was that
Yeah.
when you're speaking to somebody like normally, right, they're hearing your voice, but you're also hearing your own voice without headphones, right?
Yeah.
So, but since you're, like, your mouth is right here, part of your fucking head, like, your own voice is louder than the other person's. But because, like, the headphones are like an equalizer of that, whereas you're not hearing your voice out of your mouth, you're hearing your voice through what's going into the mic and coming into the headphones. So your voice and the voice of the person you're talking to are of equal level, more or less, which I thought was like, oh, interesting. Never thought about it.
And that helps. Wait, why is that a good thing? That, like, what you said makes sense. I understand all that, but like, why is that better?
Because, the loudest person tends to dominate a discussion. I mean, maybe not so much in a one-to-one discussion,
So
but like in a
levels
group of people.
Levels the playing field.
In a sense, yeah.
Kind of. Okay, I see that.
If not only on a subconscious level, it levels the playing field.
Yeah. It takes away from the need to feel like you have to like raise your voice over like the other. Yeah.
Yeah, more or less.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I'm really glad I got these things.
Yeah, me too. It's cool to check them out.
I also haven't used this camera before.
That was brand new.
It's not brand new. It's actually really old. But I think the other camera was like making the stream more choppy. So I'm hoping that this video is going to be more smooth than the other ones. Which we'll find out after. But yeah, man. And I gotta figure out this thing too.
That's wild.
That's fucking brutal.
Well, isn't that a sign that like these are really sensitive, which is kind of a good thing? But you don't want to.
I don't think so.
That, but okay.
Yeah, the microphone should be designed to, or it's the microphone's fine. It's the settings I have on that soundboard and the streaming software. I'm really not
okay.
sure. Like, the shit's over my head. But I
It's
know
way
that
over my head.
I know that people pay $400 for a microphone for a reason, and that these were $35. So
Yeah. Well, it gets the job done for now.
it does for now.
Absolutely.
Cool, dude. This has been fun.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Bye.